few weeks ago, we watched MAGA voices demand accountability when allegations surfaced around Graham Plattner. They argued that anyone facing serious accusations should step aside and answer for them. But now, the spotlight has shifted to Republican Congressman Max Miller, who is facing multiple allegations of abuse from women, including accusations involving his family. And suddenly, the same people who demanded immediate action before are taking a completely different approach. The message has changed. The standard appears different. And that contrast is exactly what this CNN panel is about to confront. Before we get in, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Let's watch the clip and I'll share my thoughts afterward.
Total defiance, Republican Congressman Max Miller insists that the abuse allegations against him are not only lies, but they won't stop his reelection bid. Miller called on the Ethics Committee to launch an investigation to clear his name, and the committee obliged. Now, the chances that the investigation will end by Election Day, it's highly unlikely, and certainly won't conclude by August 10th. That's the deadline for Republicans to replace Miller on the ballot if he drops out of the race. Bernie Moreno, the senator who is also Miller's former father-in-law, has called on him to resign. And today, Moreno spoke to reporters about the impact that this very public fight is having on his family.
This is truly the seventh level of hell. This has been a horrific experience for my entire family. My daughter lives in constant fear of this man. Not like something that's existential, but deeply in her heart, she fears what this guy is capable of. You can't fathom what that makes me feel like when the dad's number one job is to protect your kids.
And then in an interview with CNN's Jake Tapper, Miller again denied the allegations against him and said that President Trump was his inspiration to keep fighting.
He called me and he said, Maxie, it's going to be a tough race. And he said, I don't know if you're going to be able to, pull this one out. And you know what, Jake? I reminded him of the same resilience that he had when people told him that he was going to struggle in 2016 and he became the 45th president of the United States. I am never going to give up. And what I mean by that is my daughter's going to grow up one day and she's going to see all of this. And she's not going to see that her father caved to political and social media pressures for something that he never did.
Resilience. That's the word that he used to describe his decision to stay in this race. I mean, I don't know that I've really ever seen anything quite like this before. And even if you want to just put aside, we don't know where the allegations are going to fall. We know that there are allegations that have been investigated by numerous entities. And for some people, that's enough. And should it be?
No, I mean, I think the challenge here is you have what is inherently going to be a deeply personal dispute, which is around custody, around divorce. That is getting broiled up on the political side. And I think right now Max Miller is trying to mount more of a political defense. He's viewing at it as his back is against the wall as a member of Congress. And I think that is the absolute wrong way to look at this. As somebody who's a father, I have a kid right around his daughter's age. The idea that you want to look tough for them, I get it. But at what consequence, right? I think he fears that if he leaves this race, if he somehow bows down to this pressure as he's framing it, that is somehow validating the accusations, when if anything, leaving the race could show that you care more about taking this out of the public eye, treating it not as a public issue, not as a political issue, but as something that, again, is an inherently family-based thing. So I hope that he thinks what's best for his child, what's best for his family. So he removes this from being something where we're talking about his 3-year-old daughter's stuffed animal on cable news.
Peter, it was literally like 2 weeks ago, we were sitting on here having the same conversation about Graham Plattner and allegations, and you were like, he has to go. Max Miller
he absolutely should go.
He has to go.
I'm saying he should step down from this race. He should
step
out
from
of
Congress.
this.
Should he step out? Should he resign from Congress?
I think we can have a nice pairing with him and Katie Porter. Both have domestic abuse allegations against them, involving scalding hot water. But my priority here is on this.
But this is the problem.
Let me
I also just want to be clear.
It's
not. I think one of the really important things about this story is that this is not the only thing
Only woman.
Okay?
On the abuse
She is
front?
on the
Yes,
abuse front,
Stephanie
because the
Gershon.
abuse front, I mean, yeah, there's a divorce, there's a custody battle. That's all important. But there is also abuse allegations that's at the heart of this story, and it's not the only one. Jake Tapper asked him about it today. Let me just play that exchange.
Do you realize what it is in terms of how tall a order it is for voters and your colleagues and everybody watching right now to believe that 3 women who don't know each other made up accusations of you being violent, and you are telling the truth here? They are lying. That is a difficult thing for people to believe, right?
No, not in this instance, because every single one of these things that you're brought up, unlike other candidates throughout the country, I've already had investigations into.
I'm sorry, the fact of the investigations is also the problem.
Yes, it's also the problem. And in that interview, I was wondering, why would someone like this do an interview and put your family through this? And he obviously was either lying, it was, the whole interview was disgusting. But the one reason he did that interview was because there was an audience of one, and that was Donald Trump. He understands that if Donald Trump tells him to resign or tells him not to run, that is it for his political career. And my question is, where is Donald Trump? Why won't Donald Trump call on him to resign, and why won't he tell him to get out of the race? Where is Speaker Johnson?
Where are all
I
these
am
people?
sorry. The Democratic Party was calling for Graham Plattner nonstop to get out of the race. Eric Swalwell, all of them. When it comes to the Republican Party and there are allegations of abuse, of assault, of whatever it is, where is the Republican Party?
You know why? Because the margins are too small.
It is
and they want to stay in power.
There is a little girl who is being.
So that's the hypocrisy we
She's
talk
literally
about.
being traumatized.
She's being
by this.
traumatized around this, and
Hypocrisy.
Donald Trump needs to step in. He is the leader of the Republican Party. Get up and do something.
Max Miller calling for a House Ethics Committee investigation is friggin' rich. That's really not the place to go to clear your name in short order. You're better off taking a unicycle on a cross-country
knows
trip.
that.
You're never going to get there, and he knows that.
Yeah.
He's buying time for Trump to intervene, and he's clearly speaking to an audience of one. You can see in the mannerisms and in the tone he's using. What's more, though, to your point, maybe it's not about standing down from a race. Maybe it's about standing down from office. Your constituents are not getting your unbridled full attention while you're dealing with this. This is why people are cynical of politicians for being selfish and self-interested.
And that's why that's why we call them insurgents, but that's why people who are disassociated with the establishment can win, because people do not call a spade a spade. We literally all summer talked about how terrible a Democratic candidate in Maine was. And I sat on here and I was like, I agree. I don't think he should run. And you've said it and you've said it. And I just want all the Republicans who wanted Graham Plattner to step down, and he finally did. He wasn't even in office. He was just running for office. I want them to have the same moral clarity right now, but they don't. And that is the hypocrisy, and that is why voters are showing out the way they are.
Part of the problem with Graham Plattner is we need to pick some random guy just because he's an oyster farmer and he donated.
I don't care establishment. We need to pick people who don't abuse women.
No, and you need to get people in office who actually care about
Yeah,
the
but
American
also,
job
I
they're
mean,
elected to
look,
do,
you can
scumbags.
choose anti-establishment, Peter, or you can choose establishment. Max
Or
Miller
just
is
pick
as
people. You can
established.
choose
Hold on.
characterism.
He's as establishment as they come. It doesn't
Yes.
really matter. It's about what's being
But
said
Max
about it.
Miller brought him to unseat Anthony
but
Gonzalez.
just
I mean, he was an
And Moreno is not any,
Ashley's
like-
point. Let me
He's a
play
good guy.
what John Thune said to Manu Raju about these allegations today. Okay, and I just want to be clear. This is after an entire weekend of insane allegations against Max Miller. Listen to what Thune said.
One of the members of your conference, Senator Bernie Moreno, is publicly calling on Max Miller's former son-in-law to resign from Congress amid these allegations. Do you side with Senator Bernie Moreno, and should Max Miller resign?
I'm just, one, it's a very sad and unfortunate case. It is a family matter, and I don't have any observations beyond that. Those decisions on the future there are going to be made ultimately by the people of Ohio. And I think that's true. And I would say that of any similar case.
Is this a family matter, Scott, or is it a matter of character? Is it a matter of moral clarity, as Ashley pointed out? I don't understand. I don't understand how Republicans at this stage, given everything we've been through this year, can say that about all the things that we've learned over the last, 3 or 4 days and more about his actions in this marriage and also his actions in 2 other encounters with women.
Yeah, I think it's actually both. And in this case, one of the members of the family is a member of the Senate Republican Conference.
Yeah.
And they really ought to listen to Bernie Moreno. I was texting with him tonight, and what his family has gone through here, it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of families in America who've dealt with, and by the way, oftentimes victims of domestic violence, they're the people who hurt them never face any justice.
Never.
Sometimes investigations don't yield justice. That happens all the time. And so for him to come on CNN and say, well, they never caught me, is essentially, what he was saying. That is not a proper deflection. So, look, my advice to the Republicans here would be, it's a big district. A lot of Republicans live there. And my advice to Mr. Miller is, whatever you think your future is going to be, put your family first. This job is not, look, it's a political job. The only thing that matters is you had a kid. And this kid needs to have some kind of a functioning family. And litigating this in the middle of a campaign on national television day after day is the opposite of that. And it's not going to yield the results you want. My advice to any Republican here would be, let's just move on from this. And the president, I agree with you, Sochi, and he has a lot of leverage here because he knows Mr. Miller. And so it would be proper, I think, for the party to get a candidate here who, and I agree with you, can pay their full attention to representing the people of Ohio and let this guy go and try to heal himself because he's obviously a troubled person.
All right. Next for us.
Now, let me pause the clip right there because there is a lot to unpack. What surprised me here was seeing Scott Jennings argue for a level of accountability that many viewers would expect from both sides of the political aisle. The bigger issue is the contrast in reactions. When Graham Plattner faced controversy, many Republicans argued that candidates should be held responsible and that serious allegations should not be ignored. But now, with Max Miller facing allegations that he has denied, critics are questioning why the response appears different and why some leaders are describing the situation as a private family matter. And that is where the debate really begins. Because for many voters, accountability should not depend on political party. If a standard is important, it should be applied consistently, regardless of who is involved. That is the reason this conversation has created so much attention. Leave your thoughts at the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one.